Well, for the community foundation, usually it's for money. Yeah. But that's, that's really only one of the things we do that I would loosely put under the terms of capacity building. We do make grants. And so people often come to us, and I would say, it is not necessary. And please do not feel the need to say, we are requesting a capacity building grant. We recognize that when we read what you're asking us for. So, that label is no particular help or hindrance, but so it's not necessary. But, we have frequently been there and provided funds to help people get a volunteer coordinator for the first time, or to support part of a development director for the first time, and those kinds of efforts. But we do some other things that over the long haul we think are extremely important for the nonprofits in this community's capacity building, which is we administer and help nonprofits build and grow endowments so that they do have some good, strong base that even when your endowment shrinks, it's better than not having one, I can promise you. And so capacity building means a whole lot of things, and in this community, we're really short on nonprofits having endowments. If you look at, long-time communities that we want to be like, where there is a imperative, the culture is that philanthropy is an imperative. You live here, you're expected to contribute and give to the community. A Pittsburgh, a Milwaukee, Chicago, even Houston and Dallas. Part of it is they have, their major institutions all have and have had for decades endowments. We're still in the phase of special event fundraising. We're still in the idea that I'm only going to give you $1 today because I want to see something happen today, as opposed to, I know if I make you a stronger organization, you're going to be able to serve beyond my lifetime in a way that if I don't help you that way. So that's one of the things we do.
Okay. What else? What do you ask most often?
I think Mary Ben's right. I would add that some of the things that we see at AFP is our members coming in terms of how do they grow capacity is talking about things like planned giving, talking about endowment and where do they get that skill set, how do they get that training, where are we bringing those resources to the table. I would say we also have heard a lot of how do we not do it by ourselves, how do we take this opportunity to be educating our ED, be educating our board, do we have trainings, do we have lunches where we can bring those, we've got different programs where they're looking for the tool sets that they need to take back to their agency so they can bring in more resources, because you can't do it if it's just a single development officer isn't going to make an agency successful. And so it's bringing in that culture of the entire organization is part of that expanding your capacity. It is your executive director, it's your program director, it is your board in its entirety, and getting them used to and a part of the idea that together y'all can move it forward. And it's also they're looking at the new ways. I mean, we have sort of gone into this new modern age of social marketing and social media and social philanthropy, and even AFP has a new, we have a donor bill of rights where they're now building a new e-donor bill of rights because we're doing so much online now. And what does that mean, and how does that change your relationship with your donors? So I think as we're trying to figure out how do we reach the younger people, how do you expand your organization, it's ensuring that we're up to date and providing training and tool sets, because to your point, planned giving is something that so many agencies aren't looking at, but it's available. There's opportunity and training and resources, and like PPP, the planned giving group here in Austin, that can say, come meet with us, we'll show you how to do it, we'll get you to the right people. And so you have long-term money coming in and not just the dollar today. You've got someone that's actually, and that commitment, building those relationships that I was talking to, I think, Melinda, it's not changing the concept that it's not transactional. I think that's part of capacity building. It's not being the dollar, let me just come to your fundraiser. I want to become a partner of your agency, and that you have those donors that are going to be with you year after year, and then will be with you when they're not here.
Great. Matt.
Yeah, when we get these calls all the time from hundreds of organizations, the number one thing we've been hearing in the last 12 to 18 months specifically is how do we be much more strategic about what we're doing. And Mary Beth talked about this sort of life cycle that our philanthropic sector is going through here in Austin. Our nonprofits are going through that same life cycle where we have the bulk of nonprofits in what I'd call the small to medium early life stage of development. We don't have a lot of 30, 40, 50-year nonprofits. And that life stage for a nonprofit is often fraught with difficult decisions about what are we really trying to accomplish, how do we best go about accomplishing that. We spent the first 3 to 5 years of our life trying to take on as much as we can, and we'll chase a donor grant here and we'll launch a new program there because somebody said that there's a need, and oh my gosh, the need. And so they ask us for help in how do we be more strategic about building our capacity to do what we really are passionate in doing. We use, if you haven't read Jim Collins' Good to Great in the Social Sectors, we use the hedgehog model. It's a little one-chapter book. It's the best hour you'll spend in being strategic about your organization. We use the hedgehog model to help organizations determine what are the things that you're passionate about, that you can be the best at, and that somebody will actually fund you to do. And when they go through that exercise, they realize, wow, there's a whole lot that we're trying to do that's not in our hedgehog, and that we probably need to start to say no to, or to find a partner to take on that's much more readily available and apt to do that. And so it's that concept of being strategic about the use of your resources. What are you trying to do? You know, one of my favorite quotes from a Harvard Business School professor says, strategic planning is not always about deciding what you're going to be, it's about deciding what you're not going to be. And that's a hard thing for us in the nonprofit world to do, because we're at the street level every day experiencing and feeling the need. The people lined up out our doors are growing, and it's hard for us to say, you know, we can't meet that need too, because we want to. That's how we're wired. That's how we're motivated. And so we try to help groups, you know, come to some difficult decisions about how to be strategic.
Okay, Patsy was one.
Something I hear often from nonprofits is, you know, we do great work and people who know about us love us, but nobody really understands what we do. And that goes back in my mind to infrastructure. You know, if you invest in the infrastructure to communicate what you do to the community, the return on that will be more people knowing what you do and more people wanting to partner in that work. But particularly in days like today, making a decision to hire a marketing director or a program officer when people are, you know, 60% of the organizations are seeing increased need that they want to meet today is a very tough decision. But as a board member, I think it's a decision that it's your role to drive the organization to consider that you can feed this number of people today with this number of people who know and partner with you. What if you doubled and tripled the number that is aware of the incredible work that you do?